discreetly. I go poof. They can't see me like Houdini in a bikini. It go poof. Yellow poof.
Hi. You might hear some background noise in this video because there's some work being done outside and it might get a little loud, so I apologize in advance for that. But today I wanted to talk about learning to blossom where we are planted. Um, Even though I don't have much of a green thumb, I do know that plants are likely to grow better in soil that is fertile and rich and great. It's easier for plants to grow there. But sometimes you can see plants creeping up, like in between the cracks in the sidewalk, or in dirt that doesn't look very rich at all. You still see some plants growing. So that can be compared to humans. There are some of us humans, we come from a background where we have what we need. We have a great family, we have monetary resources, we have other resources, a good network of friends. So we're able to blossom in certain respects fairly easily. But then there are other humans where maybe our family is dysfunctional or toxic is the new buzzword. So maybe we do come from a toxic family, or maybe our family is nice, but we don't have much monetarily and it's hard to just survive. Maybe we have illnesses, other things that make our quote unquote soil or figurative soil not so fertile. So we might feel like we're not able to blossom, but the truth is that we can. We just have to learn how to blossom in the soil in which we were planted. Now, I think a lot of people today, they tend to, well, a lot of the advice I hear when it comes to how to blossom or how to be successful is another way to put that, is to sort of like be really tough on yourself and acknowledge that everything is your responsibility and your fault. And that is true sometimes. I do think that's true to a certain degree. But there are other things that we can't control. And that's mostly what I'm talking about in this video when I say the soil in which we were planted. By planted, I mean just exist. We can't control the life that we were born into. We can't control who our parents are. Um, Maybe some of us were abused as children. You can't control that. That's not your fault. And the results of that, once again, are not the survivor's fault. That's not your fault. No matter what any, I don't know, these people who give out all these advice, these life coaches, a lot of these life coaches say, that's not your fault. But the thing about life is, in order to blossom or achieve success, we have to keep growing. But to grow means to be able to balance looking forward and looking backward. We have to pause and look backward at the things that we endured growing up, at the things that we have been through, um, as a teenager in our early 20s or whatever. We have to look back at all of that and think about how that's affected us and what we can learn from it in order to move forward. And I think a lot of times, because looking back can be painful, we avoid it by sort of masking, putting a mask on it, and then trying to forget that it ever happened. But in order to grow, we have to be able to dip into the past a little bit here, a little bit there, go back to it, see what we can learn from it, face it, and try and heal by learning from it. And then we can bring that experience and wisdom with us as we move forward into the future. So, I guess to kind of explain where I'm coming from with this, I'll talk a little bit about my experiences. My whole life, and I have a little journal here with some notes that I'm looking at. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. It helps me not to ramble too much. But my whole life, ever since I was a little girl, because I'm, a person with dark skin, and I grew up in the deep south in America, which people who have skin like this were not treated very well down here. We get treated differently. And so I've always felt like, even as a little kid, like as a 6 year old, I've always felt that because I don't look like my friends or like the people who I saw on TV who were considered beautiful, I always felt like kind of a loser, um, trapped, stuck. Um, like, I like my skin color. I don't think anything's wrong with it. I like it. But I know deep down that most of the people around me do not like it. And when they see me, all they see is my skin color, which to them is a trigger. So it's that has shaped a lot of how I act around people. It makes me less than what I really am. I sort of kind of shrink into myself because I've experienced the moments where I do speak out. I've felt like looked down on or like I'm scaring people, um, and it's mostly because of the color of my skin, and gender plays an issue too. So, yeah, so growing up with those feelings, not good. That's not good at all. It's not healthy. Um, and it kind of held me back from pursuing a lot of the things that I wanted to pursue. Uh, that coupled with a family that was very incredibly religious and very, very strict and unbalanced in certain ways. So you put all of that together and it created a person who had big dreams, very big dreams, but was very afraid to pursue them. So I didn't, and instead I settled for lesser goals that I felt my family would approve of, um, and that I felt I was almost worthy of, instead of the big things that I wanted to pursue, that I felt someone who looked different from me would be more worthy of. So going through life like that is not good. And then when I hit a certain age, like around my late 20s, early 30s, all of a sudden a bunch of chronic illnesses began to impact my health. They messed with my vision, um, with my ability to walk, the amount of pain that I feel. They were very debilitating problems. And for a while, I couldn't explain them. All I knew was what I was feeling. And it took going to a lot of doctors and going through a lot of things medically. And a lot of people saying, well, maybe it's all in your head, that kind of thing, to finally figure out, okay, these are real health problems and they're quite serious. So, anyways, now we get to this time period. By the end of 2023, early 2024, to be honest, I feel like I have been tortured for the past like 3, 4 years. Um, yeah, it just feels like I feel horrible, is what I'm trying to say. I don't feel good right now. Um, and to be blunt, a lot of times I go to bed thinking, if I don't wake up tomorrow, that would probably be okay. Not that I don't want to die. It's just that when you're in pain, physically and emotionally, you want the pain to end. And if you don't know how to make it end, you're like, well, maybe not waking up would be nice. So that's not a good place to be. But I'm saying this because I think that even someone who is at their lowest point, which I'm there I think I've been there for a while now. It's still possible to blossom in some respects, and it's still possible to find some glimmers of joy. Um, for example, like in looking back, I realized that the things that I've, been through, that things that I've experienced, the sadness that comes with being different from the people around you, from being rejected a lot, um, from various, I don't mean just like romantically, but in various aspects of life, like career wise, socially, just being rejected a lot. That hurts and it's a heavy weight to carry, but it also teaches a person deep empathy so that they're able to share that with other people. And the way that I've shared that is I write stories. Not very many people read them, but the people who do read them, generally speaking, save like a couple, have told me that they've been really touched and that they've found some humor in it because it is funny to live the life of kind of somebody who is rejected. It's a little funny. Um, but it's also relatable and it hits home with a lot of people. So the books that I've been able to write, they they're able to give hope to people and help people, which is something that means a lot to me. That's something that I've always wanted to do, and in some respects, it's allowing me to blossom. So I'm not like one of those people on YouTube who has like $1 million and is telling everyone how to be successful and rich. I don't know how to be rich. I don't know how to do that. Um, but I do know how to try your best and how to share what you have with other people. And if that is your definition of success or your definition of blossoming, which I think is a good definition, I can help with that. So that's kind of what this video is about. Like, even though like my life is not perfect, definitely not, I do find great joy in being a creative person who uses their creativity to try and reach out to other people who I wouldn't be able to reach out to otherwise, and to try to give hope to people who were not born into a great life. So, my point is we can blossom even when we are planted in figurative soil that isn't very fertile and rich. You can still find success, joy, and learn more about how strong you are as a person by looking back at your past, facing it, learning from it, and in the process learning to heal, and using all of those nuggets of wisdom to keep moving forward. So if 2023 was rough for you, um, please know that you're not alone. And please know that that does not mean that 2024 will be the same. In fact, I suspect it's going to be a good year for a lot of people because a lot of us have been through so much like trauma the past year or more that not only has that, I think, increased our resilience and fortitude, but it's given us more sensitivity so that we can be more sensitive to other people and treat them the way that we wish we'd been treated. And give us more experience to pull from as we create like businesses or um, embark on creative endeavors. It'll give us more to draw from so that we can relate to people and have a positive impact on their lives. So, I hope this wasn't depressing. I was trying not to be depressing, but honestly, I am a little like sad right now, so that probably does come across. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not completely sad because there is joy in finding your little niche in the world, and I know that my niche is writing. And even though not many people read my books, it does give me great joy to write them and to share them with the few people who do read them and do find that it uplifts them or makes them think about something differently. So thank you for watching this, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you do something that makes you happy.